Hello, my literary luminaries, and welcome back. Really, I should be saying welcome back to me, because yet again, I have failed to do videos. But if any of you have seen my blog, you know exactly why. I got a new job at the beginning of October. It's a waitstaff job, and so the schedule is completely random, and I'm exhausted by the end of it. So I didn't get a chance to do that. November, of course, was National Novel Writing Month, and I struggled with that a lot more this month than I have in the past. And I don't know what happened to December, but maybe it was just recovery. But here I am, we are back. Happy 2016. If you'll forgive me, there's probably going to be a lot of random background noise, and normally I try and cut that all out for you, but if I do that, I won't have a video. Because there's construction going on downstairs, and there's cars beeping outside, and I don't even know. But I wanted to come back. I wanted to give you a top 5 Wednesday, because this one I went and checked, and I was really interested by it. And with any luck at all at the end, I'll give you a little bit of an update of what I hope to do this year. So, without further ado, let's get started. The top 5 Wednesday topic for this week is your top 5 fandoms. And if you know me, you know that fandom is a big part of my life. It's helped shape me, it's helped create what I do, so on and so forth. So, in many ways, this one was easy for me. But in any event, my number 5 is going to be absolutely no surprise to anyone who knows me, because my number 5 pick is Supernatural. Now, I have to say that when I say that these are my top 5 favorite fandoms, I'm talking less about the community at large and more about sort of the spirit of it. Because I know a lot of these fandoms, the fans, it doesn't matter what fandom it is, the fans have a tendency to get rabid, terrible things happen. It's really unfortunate. So I'm really thinking of more the spirit that the fandom engenders, or at least attempts to, and how I have fit into it. And Supernatural has always been a big one. And what really makes it for this, and I'm going to say this about a lot of these, is the actors in it. The actors from Supernatural are so involved with the community, it's impossible not to feel connected to them. You know, Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam Winchester, is constantly on Twitter talking about things, you know, supporting depression movements, being very open about his struggle with depression, which means a lot to someone such as myself. Jensen's a little more quiet. Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean Winchester, is a little more quiet, but he's recently come a bit more out of his shell. He started talking on Twitter, sharing some pictures and insights, and that's fantastic. And of course, on top of all of this, we have the incomparable Misha Collins, the brilliant mind behind the Angel Castiel. And Misha goes above and beyond between his group Random Acts, between the greatest international scavenger hunt the world has ever known, and I can't say the acronym, so I apologize. And all of the tweets and insights and talking and just everything Misha gives back. This whole fandom, I mean, I can continue listing actors that have been on Twitter, been on Facebook, been at the conventions, and are connecting with people on and on and on. And the show itself lends itself a great deal to people being in community because it's very real. You know, the brothers face real problems. I mean, granted, maybe not, you know, of the vampiric and Wendigo and all that jazz, but interpersonal problems between Sam and Dean are very real and very believable in that sort of world, and I like being able to connect to that. I don't know, my car is called the Impala. It's not an Impala, it's a Nissan Altima, but it's my Impala. I call it Cass. I am secretly Dean Winchester. I love Supernatural, and I'm horribly behind. Don't judge me, I'm so sorry. Like everything else in my life, I am behind. I think I'm somewhere in the middle of season 7, and they're on like 26 or whatever now, but bleh. Anywho, Supernatural definitely earns a spot on the list. Number 4. See, now can you hear the drill? I can hear the drill. I'm so tired of this. Number 4, actually, it may not be a drill. Oh, it might be a screwdriver. Because number 4, if anyone's noticed on the door, I can't even point it, to the door behind me, you will see one of these signs of my love of this fandom, and that is Doctor Who. That's the door to my bedroom back there, and that is a sign that hangs on the front of the TARDIS. You can't see the rest of my room, but there's a whole bunch of other indications of Doctor Who love. And honestly, I have to give this one to my parents because they were fans of Doctor Who back in the beginning when the classic series, as we call it now, was airing with Tom Baker and Peter Davison and all of those fantastic people. They introduced me during the reboot, which I think was 2005, with Christopher Eccleston, and I've been hooked ever since. Chris Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, amazing actors playing an amazing character. And in many ways, this is the first character that finally taught me, I suppose, that even with different people playing the Doctor through all these times, you can see the same character in each of them. And I have trouble when actors, appear or disappear. I'm like, no, I like the old one better. And then I don't watch for a while. And that's happened several times with Doctor Who. But as I've gotten better with it, and I've gone back and watched each of the new Doctors, and even some of the older Doctors, like especially Tom Baker, I can see the Doctor, the character of the Doctor, in all of them. And it's an interesting one because the Doctor gives us an insight to who we are as humans, as people, that we don't necessarily see from the inside, because as much as he looks like one, the Doctor's not human. The Doctor's from Gallifrey. But he loves humanity so much that he hangs around and tries to do stuff and tries to help us out. He tries to help. He's a doctor. And I love that. I love being able to see it. And the fandom is immensely accepting. Like, I go to conventions and there's Tom Baker's scarves and there's fezzes and there's Stetsons and there's 3D glasses, and I've seen a couple people as the 8th Doctor, which is fantastic because the 8th Doctor is only in the movie, and the movie is notoriously but we don't care. If you like Doctor Who, you are part of this, and I love that, and I love the diversity of it, and I love everything. I love Doctor Who. Unfortunately, I haven't been watching as much lately because I've been having some trouble with one of the companions. But as far as I know, that particular companion is not following into the next season, so maybe I'll be able to pick it up and watch some more of Capaldi's 12th Doctor? I guess, if we don't count the War Doctor. Which is nice, because I do really like Capaldi's interpretation. So, absolutely, Doctor Who. I'm a 10th Doctor cosplayer. Did you really expect any different? Number 3. Number 3 is another one that is very much because of the actors who are in it. And in many ways, it's because we're all sort of joined, we meaning the actors and the fans, are all joined by a common grief. And that is, of course, Firefly. Now, honestly, I can take anything Joss Whedon said, has ever touched, and put it in here, because I love Joss Whedon, I love Buffy, I love the Avengers, I love Firefly, I'm hitting my keyboard. But Firefly especially, because not only are the fans intensely dedicated to a show that really got the short end of the stick. There were only, I think, 11 or 12 episodes. They all got aired out of order. They didn't all get aired. They got canceled, like, super close in. We have fought tooth and nail just to get what little we can out of Firefly. And we'd be desperate to see it come back. And the actors agree with us. I can't count how many times I've seen Nathan Fillion respond to something where one of the fans has been like, bring Mel back, we want to see the brown coats, would you do Firefly if we brought it back? And Nathan goes, absolutely, yes, let's do this, I want Firefly back. And I've seen pretty much the same thing from the rest of the cast. They all loved Firefly and they'd love to be back on Serenity. In sort of the biggest example of that, if you go out, I don't know if anyone has seen this, but if you go out into the internet and you look up a series called Conman, C-O-N-M-A-N, Conman, it's Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk, who have basically made, I believe, a web-based TV show, essentially, that's about two actors who were in sort of a space cowboy TV show. Alan played the pilot and Nathan played the captain. They got canceled early on in its run, and now they visit the convention circuit, and Nathan's had, all the success with all this other stuff, and Alan's sort of been struggling, fighting along with conventions. This sounds familiar, guys. It was the first thing that came to mind when I saw the Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or whatever they did for Conman show up. Is like, they're making a show about Firefly getting canceled. And we all rallied behind it immensely. They earned way more money than they asked for because of this. It doesn't matter that we got so very little and are desperately hanging on to threads. We are hanging on to those threads, and we are donning our brown coats every second we get. I've never seen a more dedicated fan base in many, many ways than the ones of Firefly, and I'm happy to be one of them myself. Number 2. Number 2 is going to deviate a little bit because rather than a TV show or a movie or what have you, this is about a video game. But it's still a fan base that means a great deal to me and, has given a lot of chance for diversity and interestingness and all that jazz. And that would be the Ace Attorney fandom, the fandom revolving around the Phoenix Wright games. Again, if you know me, you've probably heard me say something about Phoenix Wright because I'm obsessed, and I have been for a long time. When I first got introduced to the concept of the Phoenix Wright games, I remember being a little dubious. It's a video game about being a lawyer. This doesn't really strike me as entertainment at first. But I went, hey, I've heard good things about it. People keep telling me I should be a lawyer. I'm sorry. So I was like, you know what? I'll pick it up. I'll try. Who knows? And it was so much fun. Phoenix is an amazingly likable character. There's puns galore and wordplay and ridiculousness all through every single moment of those video games. And the characters are intensely deep for something as relatively simple as the Phoenix Wright games are. They've got lore that goes back a whole bunch of years. One of my favorite characters' fathers is clearly constructed after Gregory Peck and Atticus Finch because he's a defense lawyer. His name's Gregory Edgeworth. He looks like Gregory Peck. I mean, come on. It's a really interesting fan base, and it's very inclusive because in a lot of ways, despite the fact that it's not ever explicitly stated in the video games, it's very clear that two main male characters have a very close connection, which might be romantic, wouldn't surprise anyone if it was. And it's just sort of accepted from what I've seen, which is cool. I like the two of them together. They're wonderful. It's another thing that I've been able to cosplay from. It's another thing where I've met amazing people through. And it's a really interesting way of making something relatively mundane, like lawyers and courts and stuff, interesting and teach in many ways the people that are playing the games a little bit about it. Now, granted, are these accurate court cases? No. There's no jury, except in one case in the 5 or 6 games that exist now. The way that the court works is different. You have 3 days, there's a prosecutor and a defense attorney, and at the end of 3 days, the judge says guilty or not guilty. So it's not completely accurate to our court system, but it's a thinking game. And there's not necessarily a huge quantity of those out anymore. And I like anything that makes people think. So, Phoenix Wright, if it wasn't on the list, I'm a terrible person. So. And finally, number 1. This one gets top slot, 1, because it was the last one I thought of, and 2, because it's one that is a little bit more outside the realm of standard and has definitely influenced me. Again, if we look at my car, you'll see there's bumper stickers, my license plate, there's evidence of this all over my world. And that is Welcome to Night Vale, which is a podcast, and thus is also stepping outside of the TV movie realm. But Welcome to Night Vale, I was talking about Ace Attorney being inclusive. Welcome to Night Vale takes it above and beyond, because Night Vale is inclusivity. It really, really is. We established very early on that Cecil, our narrator, our radio broadcaster from the tiny desert town of Night Vale, is gay. He has a massive crush on Carlos the scientist, and has since day 1. Yeah, I mean, it's made a big deal of because Cecil makes a big deal out of Carlos, but it's not about the sexuality. It simply is. and nobody cares. And that's honestly the way I want the world to work. It's the way I think the world will eventually work. But it's brilliant because if you take, even if you take that as something non-standard, as not, the normal level, it's so much closer to anything we consider normal in the real world than everything else that happens in Night Vale. There's a mysterious glowing cloud on the school board. Libraries are dangerous and not allowed to be gone in because the librarians will kill you. Humans and dogs are not allowed in the dog park. Gluten and gluten byproducts have been banned because they turn into evil snakes. The list goes on, and honestly, you know what? I'll take Cecil and Carlos. Anyway, they're fantastic and adorable. The bar for normal is set somewhere when that's your normal, gluten turning into snakes and a man with a, tan jacket and a deerskin suitcase wandering around that no one can remember his face. This is normal. It would almost look like Cecil and Carlos were less normal there than they are here. But Night Vale is amazing. I've been very lucky to go see one of their live shows up in Washington, D.C., and it was amazing. I absolutely love listening to Cecil Baldwin's voice. He could read me the phone book and I would be happy. Dylan Marin is quite possibly one of the most adorable people on the planet as Carlos, and it works because clearly Cecil and Dylan are good friends, and so they can carry the dynamic of their friendship over to the characters' relationship, and Cecil and Carlos are my personal relationship life goals. If I can find my personal Carlos somewhere out in the world, I will be a happy camper. It's such a labor of love, and they work so hard to make Night Vale a safe place for everyone, which is the weirdest sentence in the world if you know Night Vale, because Night Vale's not safe at all. But the podcast community, what Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner are really hoping to build, and, all the actors and whatnot, is absolutely a safe place for everyone, where being weird by what the real world considers weird is normal. And that's why I love Night Vale, because it doesn't matter how far from, standard deviation I am here in, real world Virginia. In Night Vale, I'm completely run-of-the-mill. And I love that. And as with everything else I love on this list, I'm immensely behind on the podcast. But I just finished reading the book. A review of it is going to be going up on the 13th. So that'll be coming soon. I absolutely love it. And above all else, me and my Night Vale NRA bumper sticker and my Welcome to Night Vale Community Radio license plate, Night Vale deserved to have the top spot on this one. So, we have a top 5! Woo! Let me know in the comments, what are your top 5 fandoms? What do you look for in a fandom? Why do those ones speak to you? Talk to me in the comments. Yell at me for vanishing for months. I deserve it. And on that note, I keep saying this, I know I do, but it is one of my core goals for 2016 to be more intentional about blogging, about doing the videos, about being active as a writer. Because I just recently earned my MFA on December 11th, and I feel like I need to step up my game because I've been slacking. There's no better word for it. I have been slacking on who I am as a writer, who I am as, a blogger and a vlogger and all of that jazz, and I need to stop doing that if I want to be taken seriously as a professional. So, with any luck at all, I'm probably going to end up recording several videos a day, so if my clothing doesn't change, you'll know why. Because my schedule is still really erratic, and it's still very hard, and, I've got the drilling and everything going on. God knows how I'm going to be doing my voice acting stuff. But I want to be back with you guys. I want to be part of the community again, and I need to stop making excuses. And that's what I've been doing for too long. So, with any luck at all, you will start seeing these. I still have a whole bunch of notes of tags I want to do. I may record one of those later today. Who knows? Because today is my day off, so yay! But do expect to see some more from me. You'll definitely see more on the blog. I've started doing some of those posts already. They're preset, they're going on. I'm reading more, I'm going to be on here more. 2016, year of K. Ryan Frey. So, thank you all so much for your patience, for your continued watching, anyone that's lasted this long. I really, really appreciate it. The drilling is driving me nuts, so I'm going to stop recording, but thank you all so much. Let me know in the comments what you think, if there's anything you'd like to see me cover, and until next time, I will see you later. Bye! The Top 5 Wednesday topic for today is your top 5 favorite fandoms. And if you know me, you know me. If you really?